Hi, it's Steve from Part Select. Today we're going to show you how to check a dryer heating element for continuity using a multimeter. Components such as a heating element will have a coil of wire and a couple of terminals on them. And when we're checking for continuity, we're looking for the ability for current to pass through that coil of wire and out the second terminal. If it cannot do that, we say that it has no continuity. The same thing would apply to either a thermal fuse or a thermostat. We look for the ability for that device to be able to allow current to come in through one terminal and out through the second one. And we can measure that ability using our multimeter. Now, when testing a dryer component for continuity using a multimeter, the first thing we'll need to do is to remove power from the dryer before we attempt any type of repair. And secondly, we'll need to remove any wires that are attached to that component so that we isolate it from the circuit, or remove the component completely from the dryer. Now, dryer elements come in a variety of sizes and shapes depending on the model. They all have a coil of heater wire encased in a metal housing, and the heater wire will be suspended on ceramic type insulators. All dryer heater elements will have at least 2 terminals, and some may have as many as 3 terminals. Now, the method for testing them is the same regardless of whether it is a 2 or a 3 terminal element. Now, there are a variety of multimeters available to use. The 2 most common styles are a digital multimeter that has an ohm scale on it, and an analog multimeter that uses a needle. Now, to check them for continuity, we're going to take our meter and we'll set it to the lowest ohm scale, or ohms with tone. Now, on the digital meter, it will show a 1, meaning over range or open circuit. If we touch the 2 probes together, you'll see that the meter will change to something close to 0 ohms. Now, to test the element, we'll place 1 probe on 1 terminal, the second probe on the second terminal, and your meter reading should show somewhere between 10 and 50 ohms for a normal dryer element. On a dryer element that uses 3 terminals, we can take one of those terminals, place our probe on that, place our second probe on another terminal, and we should see a resistance. Place it on the third terminal, and again we should see continuity. Now, something we should never see is continuity between the metal case on a dryer element and any of the terminals. So check that as well. Now, to do the same test with an analog meter, we'll begin by setting our dial to the lowest ohm scale. And then with most analog meters, we'll have a adjustment to 0 the meter. So we'll touch our 2 probes together, and then we'll adjust that dial until we get 0 ohms. That calibrates our meter. Then again, take 1 probe, touch it to 1 terminal, our second probe to another terminal, and we should have somewhere between 10 and 50 ohms. You can also use the resistance with tone setting on your meter if it has one, and you will get an audible tone when there's continuity. There's an example of an element that is burned out. There is no continuity between the 2 terminals, and you can actually see on this one that the element wire has burned away from the terminal. That would indicate an open circuit. That's just how easy it is to check your dryer heating element with a multimeter.